Hello, and welcome to A Star to Steer Her by 10 Forward 39.
Yay!
Where we're talking about Gattaca, 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 Gattaca.
I get it!
Someone
Bell
had to make
riots.
the joke.
Bell riots are closer every day.
That too.
Thank God.
I was actually just
oh no.
thinking of the movie Attica, but that too, yes. Yeah. So yes, it's probably the closest we've had a couple of 10 forwards in a while, when we weren't between shows or something and taking a weird little break. But damn it, the gods of time demanded Independence Day, and the gods of Enterprise demanded we talk about genetic
anything other than
modification.
Enterprise.
Yes, we're away from Brent Spiner. We need a break before we go back into Spinerless Prize.
Oh, it's not even worth it.
So we're going into a film that sadly is lacking Brent Spiner, but is not lacking inappropriate themes.
And
This
very
is-
pretty people.
Yes, this is Chris.
Speaking of pretty people, this is Ames.
This is Caitlin.
This is Jake. And
And we've genetically modified our guest star.
Oh God, I'm sorry to disappoint. And Liz! Sorry, I thought Chris
Hello,
hadn't introduced
Liz.
himself yet. Hello.
No,
I
he
went
started
first.
it.
I this shows how much I pay attention.
Okay, and my
Wow.
predicted age of death is 15. Oh no!
Damn.
You're
Borrowed
looking
time.
pretty good for dead.
Ah. Wait, we've been talking about doing Gattaca for years now. We finally found a good reason to do it. Not
Yeah.
that you need a good reason, but
Oh
Yeah.
right,
No, but it's
because of the
pretty good timing.
augments. I didn't even
Yeah.
realize that's why we were doing it. I
Yeah, Liz knows what we're talking about. She's all caught up.
Yeah, I'm like 2 episodes into season 3 now. It's really hard to watch.
Yeah, no, it
sucks, dude.
It's
It's rough.
It's so much harder now that you're in season 3 too.
yeah, season
I'm-
3 is gonna be horrible, dude. I'm so sorry.
It is.
yeah, but
the worst.
our episodes are great.
Oh yeah,
Well,
Yeah, no,
she
they're great.
insists-
Yeah.
She insists on actually watching the show and
I'm
not
aware,
just listening
yeah.
to us
Yeah.
I
trash
mean, the
it.
thing is, it's like I don't know how good our episodes are because it's mostly just us complaining about how bad.
No, but
Star
it's very
Trek is.
cathartic right now. It's very helpful.
Yeah.
Well, that's
yeah.
good at least.
Because right now
Um,
I'm still mad about the Caribbean. Like,
Yep.
oh no,
Oh,
poor
yeah,
Florida.
yeah.
Oh no. Yeah,
Oh,
okay,
but
well, Latin
everyone
America
else,
just had a
too.
fucking seismic event, but nobody cares.
Nope, doesn't count, doesn't matter. But that's neither here nor there nor anywhere. Where we are is a near future genetic dystopia thing, sort of.
Oh shit. It's a near futuristic dystopia.
True. It is a world where people are genetically modified in vitro, and how good your modifications are basically set your life for you. But Ethan Hawke has the misfortune of having been a natural birth because his mother was an idiot.
You say misfortune, but we also know that he has the best schlong that anyone has ever seen. So,
Well, yes, I
you
think
know,
that's the thing. Is it?
catch 22.
Yeah, well, that's a huge point of the film. But
How do we know
sword.
this?
we'll get to that. What?
How do we know this?
Because the doctor is like, have I ever mentioned that your dick is fantastic? And he's like,
Yeah.
every time I'm here, Doc. It's kind of creepy.
Yeah, but we'll get to that.
Doc wants to blow him so bad.
So bad. So, Ethan Hawke is a natural birth in a world that wants genetic supermen. And his parents realize, oh, we should have genetically supermaned our boy. So they genetically superman their second boy. And he's a genetic superman.
And he's
Ethan
a
Hawke is
little
sad.
cunt.
And Ethan Hawke wants to go to space. But, like, he can't even get into proper schools because they're afraid the insurance won't cover him because he's so fragile. And
Yeah,
his
that
heart
was such
is
a bummer. He couldn't get into
Yeah.
kindergarten because they
Yeah.
were like, he could die.
Yeah, and his heart is supposed, 99% chance it'll crap out on him at 30-ish. So he trains and he reads and he does all this stuff, but he still can't get a better job than janitor at Gattaca, the space company. So finally he goes to Tony Shalhoub. Jesus Christmas. It's
Shoni
late.
Talub.
Goes to Tony Shalhoub, who gives him the identity of Jude Law, who is a former athlete who was hit by a car and is, now needs money to fuel his his alcoholism. So he takes his name, and Jude Law gives him samples to give at tests and stuff, so he can claim he's him.
Peas and blood.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Fucking hair.
So
he
works his way up in the Gattaca company, and he's a navigator. And the film actually starts in tabula rasa with him talking about all this, and someone has been murdered. It's the director of the agency, and he didn't do it, but there's cops everywhere, and they find one of his eyelashes, not one of the fake ones. And Alan Arkin shows up and is
description.
like, yeah, sorry. Alan Arkin shows up and is like, oh God, there's an invalid here. And the other cop is like, that seems weird. And Ethan Hawke falls in love with Uma Thurman, who's also genetically modified. And apparently somebody fucked it up, so her ticker doesn't work right, supposedly.
What a coincidence.
Yeah.
It's in the acceptable threshold for like woman's work, but not for going to space.
Exactly. We'll get, yes.
Okay.
And yeah, as the threads tighten in, finally it's worked out. Oh no, actually it was Ethan Hawke's boss that killed the other guy because he was going to scrap this project.
Hero boss.
Yeah. Ethan Hawke gets to go to space after all, in part thanks to creepy doctor who has apparently known this whole fucking time he's not who he claims he is. And
he was just that impressed by his dick.
Yeah.
This is what I'm saying. The best schlong in the world, because
and Jude
it was
Law
enough.
cremates himself in a really just gut punch of a scene.
Yeah, it was horrible.
Immolates.
Yeah.
I found it very upsetting.
Not the best description, but it'll do.
You did miss like a pretty important detail, and that's that the not
cop that's
right.
after
cop
is his brother. Yes,
is his estranged brother.
Yeah, I forgot that part.
Who's totally sweeping all this under the rug and being like, my bro is okay.
Well, so that's the interesting thing.
That's the interesting thing.
Caitlin caught it, and I completely missed it. Like, when he yelled his name at him when they were fleeing that fancy dinner party,
Vincent?
Yeah, when he goes outside and he's like, Vincent! I was like, holy shit, that's his brother.
I, did not think of the fact for some reason. It's like, yeah, they just keep referring to him as an unregistered invalid. So, they didn't have, his name on file, even though they had his photo. I don't know.
There's the tiniest clue that I brought up when that I almost made Jake stop and go back at some point, but then Jake reminded me what the actual twist was. In that when Alan Arkin is talking with brother Anton, and they're saying, oh yeah, and Anton says, oh yeah, no living closest family relatives to this glitch Vincent.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but we know Vincent has a brother. Why isn't it showing up that Vincent has family? And it's like, oh, because we don't know yet that he's the brother and he's trying to keep Vincent safe.
Yeah, because he's the one that says no living relatives. He's just...
Yeah.
I think he know. I don't know. It's hard. His motivations are somewhat unclear to me. Is he trying to protect Vincent or is he trying to protect himself? And
I think he's the one that wanted to catch him.
Yeah, so
I think he did. For sure.
That was the thing. I missed that obvious clue when he yells his name, and what I was hung up on was, okay, this cop has totally worked it out, but is conflicted because he's like, oh God, I think if I catch him, this upends our whole society. If it proves that an invalid can do all these things, and I thought that was
far as he's gotten.
Yeah, and I thought that was his conflict. Was I have to admit that he's trained himself up, that he's made himself brilliant, that he fooled all of us, practically. So I thought that was his main issue, not the fact that it's my secret. And who knows, maybe that is also kind of part of it as well, is because again, that's really the thing. It's this could, if this happened and got out, that just completely destroys the entire basis of their fucked up society.
It's a real 90% of Trill could...
Yeah.
There you go.
Do a thing with a
symbiote.
Yeah.
So this was Caitlin's first watch. Was it your first watch of this, Chris?
Yes, I saw the first maybe 20 minutes when I was a teenager. I very distinctly remember Vincent walking out of his bathroom and it just bursting into flames. And then I think basically I saw up through the end basically of his monologue, sort of kind of giving his I'm a natural birth and this and that. And,
oh, okay. the backstory stuff.
Yeah. And while I do wish I had seen it sooner, I am glad I didn't see it in full then, because I was a teenager, and I appreciate that my first time viewing it was as an adult. I think I would not have appreciated it as much as a stupid teenager.
I mean, can confirm. I was obsessed with this as a teenager when it first came out. I love the shit out of this movie.
Pretty.
Everyone's very pretty, but like I think
and
like
all the
it was
stuff
just
is pretty.
It was just very sleek. It was very, like, my favorite, sci-fi author for a long time as a kid was Ray Bradbury. I was very into, like, classic sci-fi, and this had a very classic sci-fi feel in a lot of ways.
Yeah, it's also a very focused story.
Yeah.
Yes. And also Jude Law. But, like, so, I recently bought a DVD. I recently went on a little mini spree like a couple months ago where I bought like cheap DVDs of movies that I used to like. I remember having like these good memories and associations with from when I was younger and I haven't seen in years. And I've been, just sort of watching and seeing how they've held up.
Oh,
now.
What else would you recommend?
Well, so last week I watched The Forsaken, if anyone has seen that one.
I have not.
I don't think I have.
It is a 2000 vampire road trip movie.
Ooh.
Like not that the vampires are on the road, but they're on the road preying on people.
Okay.
But it's that one guy from Dawson's Creek who's not the other two famous ones.
I'm pretty sure the only person in Dawson's Creek is
James Vanderbeek.
James Vanderbeek.
No, because then there's Pacey.
Yeah,
also James Vanderbeek.
Right? I don't know.
Was that Joshua Jackson, or am I making that up?
Yeah, it's Josh Jackson.
Joshua Jackson.
So this was the third person who was on Dawson's Creek. I don't remember his name.
Katie Holmes?
No. But like it's, he's been hired to drive a car from like I think from California, from LA to Florida.
A long drive.
Yeah, it is. He picks up a desperate hitchhiker on the way, even though he was expressly told not to. Turns out that guy is a vampire hunter. And then Jonathan Scheck shows up as like just smoldering daddy vampire. That was a strong memory from my teenage years. And it just goes from there. It is unashamed of what it is. Like it knows what genre it is, and it just leads in. There's so much blood. There is so like you will see titties in the first 30 seconds. The vampires will be all over each other having sex and biting each other, just blood pouring, whatever. But at the same time, and it just goes over the top with the violence. But at the same time, surprisingly well thought out vampire lore, like specific to its setting, in that like the original vampires were knights from the Crusades. So it just makes up its own story. And then on top of that, like it also treats vampirism as a virus that you can keep at bay for a couple of years with a drug cocktail, which is...
Is that kind of how it was in Blade, or am I making that up?
I don't think Blade doesn't treat it as a I don't think... Does it treat it as a virus?
I don't know. I've only seen it once, and it was a long time ago.
I don't remember that.
Anyway, bringing this back in.
Anyway,
how does it compare to Gattaca?
Gattaca is just art. It's like... It's fascinating, because I came back to this, and so many memories were flooding back. And, like, lines that I really liked, like, you get to, like, the gym scene, and it was like, yes, Jerome the metronome. But also things that, like, since watching this as a teenager, I have gone and gotten an art history degree. So I'm looking at this, I'm like, this is fucking Art Deco as shit. This is like, everybody is, like, makeup just had so much fun, with Uma Thurman in particular, just making her look like something out of a Tamara de Lempicka painting. And just that sleekness and I have a bit more of a mental capacity to really think about all the ethics and the philosophical aspects of the movie.
I think this is a movie that also would be interesting to like watch with the sound off and just look at the things. Oh, because every so often I'd be like, they filmed a lot of the Gattaca complex shots at this Frank Lloyd Wright House in California.
The Marin County Civic Center?
That's the one. I have it written down, so I happen to have that line in front of me. They shot the parking lot scenes at the Otis College of Art and Design. They shot scenes at the CLA building at Cal State Polytech. And I have more lists. I have the Sepulveda Dam, Culver City High School, the Forum in Inglewood, and then all the solar power mirrors were at the Kramer Junction Solar Electric Generating Station. Like, this is a visual fucking movie.
Yeah.
And even just
that
like
that
the
doesn't
shots.
even mention like the props and everything. Like the cars were all, like
Oh yeah,
like
fancy
60s cars, but they made like Jetsons noises. I don't know. It was very,
Well,
very interesting.
They're all classic cars, but they've been like modified for electric. And what's great is now in 2024, there's this scene where they pull up and immediately plug in, and it's like, yeah, that's just life now.
Yeah, we have that. I mean, even
Like-
the sound of the engine doesn't sound that different from a modern EV.
No.
Yeah, we have that, but where are my fucking 60s muscle cars that are actually
Nope,
electric?
you're getting a Cybertruck.
God damn it.
Ugh.
I hate this version of the future.
Oh, our version of the future sucks. Let's be fair. This version of the future is aesthetically pleasant, but it sucks otherwise.
Okay, so can I give you some headcanon for this that I've had about the
Yay!
Go for
I
it.
want
Go for it.
headcanon, yeah.
So you can't say, oh yeah, this is a dystopian future. I don't think this is the future. I think this is an alternate present. I
Okay.
think that this is like the eugenics movement of the mid-century, the 1930s and 40s, like that didn't end. Like maybe World War II went down differently, who knows? But for whatever reason, like eugenics
Didn't fall out of favor.
Yeah, this is the present the Sungs want.
And exactly, and that's why and just certain things did not progress the way that they progressed in our society. So like culture kind of got arrested in the 1960s because we didn't have the counterculture movement. We didn't have Bob Dylan and and the hippies and like that like none of that shit existed because
It's kind of
everyone's wearing suits because they're all fucking genetic supermen.
it's
No
kind of
Bob
like a
Dylan, huh? I kind of like this version of the future more now.
but it's kind of like how Fallout, is an arrested in the
Retro
50s culture.
futuristic.
Yeah, with that
That, like,
aesthetic.
Because, like, even, what people are like, oh, yeah, so it's an alternate timeline, and what? So World War III happens in 1955. It's like, no, it was 2077. It's just culturally the country froze in the 50s, but time kept marching on.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
would
that's
buy
kind of
that.
how I've always felt about this movie because it's like there's no way that I can rationalize this being a future where everything looks like it's out of the 60s except like the technology.
Yeah, I could, yeah.
No, my
Though it
first
should be
note here
pointed out
says
that the opening title card is the not too distant future.
yes.
Yeah, but there was
But
an opening title the studio made the makers of the MASH movie put on to specify it's not Vietnam. And the director was like, it's Vietnam. You were saying, James?
I was saying, when did electric cars really start becoming a thing? Because there was an IMDb note that said they were just conjecture at time of release in,
That's not true.
1997.
Not at all.
I'm like, that
Yeah.
seems wrong.
There's been
That is
electric
way off.
cars for 100 years.
There were literally electric cars at the same time there were gas cars. I remember reading Eddie Rickenbacker's autobiography in middle school, and he started off as a mechanic, and he talks about driving an electric car once. Its battery was only good for, I think, maybe 10 minutes, but it was there.
The 90s,
I mean, they weren't really
recall
like
seeing...
practical.
No, they
electric
weren't
cars.
yet.
But even
No,
in the
but-
80s, they were like production cars that you could buy.
Right, exactly.
They weren't great.
Yeah, like the idea of a mass market common enough that you're going to plug your car in when you park kind of thing. Like, yeah, that wasn't a reality yet, but electric cars were a thing.
It absolutely could have been in the 90s too, but the oil industry did its thing. But I remember, like, in the 90s and, like, the early to mid-90s watching featurettes, at least, like, about electric vehicles and about how it was at a point where it was feasible to put them on the market, like, on a wider scale. It would just need the electric infrastructure. And that's what didn't happen.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that observation's way off.
Yeah, but that's the IMDb.
IMDb trivia page is...
That person on the internet is wrong.
Yeah, well, the IMDb is mostly idiots. But yes,
I don't know. It gives me great gems, like for the opening sequence with the falling hair and nails and stuff.
Oh, it's so
Those are
gross.
just oversized models that they made and threw around, and that's exciting.
That's really
Like,
cool.
I was like, oh, what do they do? Macro? No, they just had giant hair.
They did.
That's kind of hilarious.
That's
I sort of
cool.
love
I
it.
want one.
I love model
I
work in
do
Hollywood
not.
movies.
In a way, it's now less gross knowing that it's not just actually macro footage of not Ethan Peck,
Jude Law,
Hawk.
Ethan Hawke.
Ethan Hawke's toenails. Yeah.
Ugh. Well, no mere mortal's toenails can faze me after all the fucking flocks we've been dealing with.
Oh no.
But yeah, so again, the cars now, that's just our reality. How far off are we from eugenic ethno-state bullshit? Because
we're
it's a lot
definitely
closer
at the threshold
now.
of it. We're right there. We're staring down the barrel of it. Like I don't know if you guys watched on DVD or what and saw the deleted scenes and extra notes and whatnot.
No, I didn't watch the deleted scenes. I wonder if I had them on my DVD.
You should go back and watch them because that includes the coda, which is all text.
Interesting.
Should I just read it? This is
where in the movie does it happen?
It happens. I believe. My impression is that it's after the end of the movie.
Okay.
Like at the end. It's just an added note. It's in a few short years, scientists will have completed the Human Genome Project, the mapping of all the genes that make up a human being. We have now evolved to the point where we can direct our own evolution. Had we acquired this knowledge sooner, the following people may never have been born. And then it's a photo slideshow.
Wow.
Abraham Lincoln, Marfan syndrome. Emily Dickinson, manic depression. Vincent van Gogh, epilepsy. Albert Einstein, dyslexia. John F. Kennedy, Addison's disease. Rita Hayworth. Rita Hayworth, Alzheimer's. Jackie Joyner Kersey, asthma. Ray Charles, primary glaucoma. And Stephen Hawking, amyotrophic lateral sclerosis. And then, of course, the other birth that may never have taken place is your own.
Oh, shit.
Donald Trump, bone spurs.
If only. Shit.
I don't know. I feel like the movie doesn't need something like that because it makes a great effort to let you make your own decision about what the world is like, what the moral implications of everything is like. I don't think we needed it spelled out or anything.
I don't know. If you're making your own decision and your decision is anything but this is incredibly fucked up, you might actually be a Nazi.
Might need a little guidance.
Yeah.
I mean, I think also because even doing what I do once I'm thinking about a movie afterward and diving into things like Reddit and TV tropes, I was reading comment debates about whether or not the story misses the mark in that. Vincent, eugenics or not, Vincent has a heart condition, and that is a dangerous liability on a space mission. He shouldn't be on it, even in a less dystopic world. And other people pointing out, it's not about that specific case. It's not about that it's about the prejudice about it, not necessarily.
Yeah.
Right.
These specifics.
And something that occurred to me about this movie is that. It doesn't go out of its way to tell you Vincent doesn't go on a crusade. He's not trying to prove that.
Yeah, it's not preaching
that the genetic. He's not trying to save the guys that were the janitors at the beginning are still the janitors at the end. So it's not there's no he
not a Messiah.
Healed the world. Yeah, exactly. He hasn't helped anything. He's just is doing something for himself, which is fine. And I appreciate that about this movie, that it is a self-contained. I could see them if this movie had been a massive box office success, which it was not.
It was absolutely
but
not.
if it had, and they were oh, we're gonna do a sequel, the sequel would have been oh, Vincent becomes a fucking rallying
it's the resistance. And it turns into the Hunger Games.
It would have been one of the problems I had with Blade Runner 2049, where it's you're clearly trying to set up a world-changing event with this story instead of it just being about individuals in this world.
Yeah.
That's what the Gattaca legacy sequel would be. Is if they can get Ethan Hawke back, then he shows up and he's this messiah figure. If they can't,
oh no, he dies in space.
Yeah, well, I agree, but
he's dead. This man died.
The doctor. Get the doctor back. I think the doctor is the one who's really changing the world because he let him do it, and he's got his kid who he's not super impressed with. Apparently,
I don't know if he definitely dies, but he's expecting to die. Definitely. I mean, that's actually the whole point.
I think the thing is that part of it is that you are not your genes, that your destiny. They literally seconds after he's born, they read out his genetic code and be yep, oh, he's going to die of a heart condition in 30 years. And then he's already defied that prognosis.
Yeah.
And I think the idea here is, does he even actually have the condition? Because they said it was 90 something percent,
90%, something like that.
So if it's like a 1 in 10 or a 1 in 100 or whatever chance that he doesn't have it, the fact that the test said that, oh yeah, he probably will, and you got to put on the kid gloves. But the fact that he's made it beyond where he was expected, and he's a fucking astronaut.
Yeah. Well, I think the only hint that maybe there is something a little wrong with his heart is, and again, you don't have to read it this way, but the only sort of ambiguous thing they do have is there's the scene where he's on the treadmill and he kind of freaks out a little. It does seem like he's kind of in pain, but again, that could just be a massive
I'd
anxiety
like to see
spike.
you run on a treadmill.
Oh yeah, no. I
20
couldn't
minutes.
for 30 minutes.
Well,
and then have your long lost estranged brother come in on you.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. That's what I mean. I appreciate that the movie didn't, again, make it explicit. You could totally read it as just, he's already been running for ages, and this is happening. His stress is going. Anyone might have this happen.
He stubbed his toe.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, again, it's the fact that they leave it vague is good.
There's a lot that is implied that is taken for true within the world.
Mm-hmm.
But that we don't necessarily need to take as true as the audience.
Right. Well, what's interesting is I think even he falls into the trap of, he even says to Uma Thurman at one point that he's on borrowed time. So even though he's trying to defy everything he's learned, even he, to some extent, does assume there's something wrong.
Right.
And again, I think he at least is not planning. He is assuming he's dying in space.
Yeah.
Because when
he's
Jude
not
Law,
planning for the swim back.
Yeah, exactly. He never saves any for the. And when Jude Law's like, here's a shitload of samples, he's like, I don't need samples, I'm going. And Jude Law's like, yeah, but you're going to be back and need them. And Ethan Hawke doesn't say anything, but he is not thinking beyond this mission. In part, I think, because he, despite everything, is still a part of this world he was raised in and hasn't fully shaken it, which I think, again, is great. That gets to Jake's point. He's not here to change the world. He's here to do this thing he wants to do for himself.
Yeah. Yeah, the personal stakes, I think, are what make it more compelling.
Yeah.
It actually also, these assumptions, these estimates that are being taken as, accurate predictions and prophecy about your genes and your fate. It also, what I found interesting is it suggested to me, and I'm sitting here thinking about how this works in the society. Once they settled into this system of genetically engineering, in vitro, and creating this elite caste as a result in their society, how much did that stall the advancement of any medicine in general? Are they, because the people who come down with these conditions are mostly invalid.
Yeah.
Who cares? Let them die. Why treat this when we can just make sure that they don't have it before they're born?
No one's gonna have this disease anymore. Why keep researching it?
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's fascinating.
I mean, the implications are, it's fascinating and horrifying.
Doctors literally only exist to modify babies and make sure that people were modified.
Yeah, pretty
and
much.
watch you pee a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's
comment on your hog.
A lot of peeing.
So uncomfortable.
Was anybody else keeping track of the kind of stuff the traits that were talked about being phased out or engineered out or opted out of?
I remember male
Aggression,
pattern
right?
baldness, aggression,
male pattern baldness. Yeah, those are
Left-handedness.
Yeah.
Left-handedness.
Yeah.
Did they mention being a gay? Because I feel like that's
It's implicit.
So, it is
Of course
implicit.
it's implicit.
And I
but
think
did they say it?
I think there's there is an extended version of the scene in deleted scenes that I think goes into it more.
That's interesting.
Where Vincent's parents are like, well, was there anything else that you might have forgotten? And they're like, well, we wanted to make sure, we want him to grow up and get married and give us grandkids.
Oh, gross! His parents said that.
And Blair
Tons
Underwood,
of parents say that.
Dr. Blair
Yeah,
Underwood.
I know, but
was I think I'm trying to remember how exactly the conversation went, but it seemed to be sort of saying well, we've taken care of the things like fertility, but I see what you mean, and we've also already just taken care of that for you. It's just sort of a foregone conclusion. He's gonna like women.
Right. We don't even mention taking away the gay because we always do that.
Which is interesting because you would think that in this where reproduction happens this way.
Yeah, in a petri dish.
Like what
No,
would
that's
be
a
the
good point.
consequence of like? There's no
Yeah.
societal harm here. Just
You
everyone
could get
be
rid of men.
It's a very
We'd all be
superficial
happier.
society is the
Let's
best
do
I can figure.
that.
There's no fucking harm now with.
Well, no,
the
I know,
gay.
but that the perceived
I'm
harm
just
of
saying.
what they
Right,
would have.
right. But there's no harm in being left-handed. There's no harm
No
in
shit.
You have to get a different can opener, Liz.
yeah.
Disagree. Have you seen how left-handeds drag pencil mark behind them when they
You
write?
can't just
I'm
call them
saying.
left-handeds, Caitlin.
I can, and I did.
Did you notice, because when the parents are at a clinic doing the thing,
Right.
what are your desired
Flare
traits?
underwear.
And the doctor, who is black, is looking
Yeah.
through their list. And
Yep.
I see blonde, blue eyes, fair skin, and he has this little look.
He gives this little laugh.
Yes,
this
he
little
does.
smile.
And it's like, wow, there's not going to be many of me, huh? Oh boy.
Well, that's
Uh-huh.
the interesting thing, and this is the thing that really stood out to me, was that it is, and admittedly, this is probably just more a side effect of Hollywood and not really intentional, but it's nice to pretend it was intentional. It is still a mostly white society, we notice. When you do see a black person, it stands out, because I think there were maybe 2 black people I noticed that had lines.
The maitre d' at the club.
Yep. Oh, 3.
But yeah, like that's exactly the same conclusion I came to, where I was like,
Yeah.
this is a very white aesthetic, which it rather matches with the Art Deco aesthetics, because Art Deco is a very white style, like in terms of like the faces you see in it and depictions.
Yeah.
But also, this is Hollywood.
Yeah.
So how much of this is the casting director, and how much of this is intended?
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I think,
I mean, it's
do
also
think, though-
a very heavily male cast, even in the
Yes.
background.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I think, I mean, I can't speak to the overall casting, but certainly I would say that the casting of the head of the club as a black woman is very conscious. Because I mean, it's, back in the day, as again, the Art Deco Hollywood day, like,
Yeah.
you were allowed to depict black people as entertainers.
Entertainers and service workers.
Yeah, and that's about it.
Yeah, which
And
is why
yeah,
it's
I think-
interesting that all the janitors are all white.
True.
Oh shit! If they're doing eugenics, they're sterilizing people. Oh,
I mean, theoretically,
Ooh.
that's
yeah,
possible.
I didn't even think of that. Gross.
That's actually, I hadn't thought about that myself, but what I was thinking of is, like, one, trying to figure out where Vincent's parents are socioeconomically. They clearly, like, they're middle class enough at least that they can afford, a designer baby the second time around.
And
but
that sweet teapot in their
But they
kitchen.
couldn't take the extra charge for the musical talent. And also, like, they accidentally got pregnant. But I'm thinking, like,
Well,
meanwhile,
that's because
I'm
she's
watching.
a dirty Catholic, Liz.
Oh, that's true.
Doesn't
but
that
I'm
mean they should
also
have been doing it in the butt?
It
What?
doesn't count that way. But I'm also thinking about, like, when it was popping back into my head when Vincent and Irene went to bed together. I'm like,
Yeah.
what's her? She's got to have, like, birth control just, like, already taken care of. Like, she's not going to just accidentally get pregnant.
Oh yeah,
And I doubt they pulled out a condom.
They flushed that
yeah,
out.
they've got Plan B over the counter there. It's fine.
And then they burned
They're
down
also-
that whole room because he has DNA evidence all over it.
I was about to say that was some risky behavior, because as soon as they're having,
I
I'm
was
like,
just
you're not using a
thinking
condom,
that.
dude.
She goes over to one of those fucking, like, kiosks, like, squats over a fucking cup and is like, real fresh, here you go.
Oh.
Wow.
Tell me all about it.
I did love the girl that was like, I kissed a guy like 5 minutes ago. Tell me if he's a good
It was
match.
a good one.
Oh yeah, God, the total lack of privacy is insane.
Yeah, there's no HIPAA in this society whatsoever.
Being fair though, Liz, as we discovered when we were going through TNG and making fun of the seeming lack of HIPAA in Starfleet,
Yeah.
HIPAA as we know it is only from like the early 90s.
Fair.
It's actually very new.
Fair.
We'll see if it still exists in a few years, because I could see them trying to get rid of that. Especially though, as like, I mean, I did say, we're talking about staring down the barrel of this future. Like, realistically, we are in the earliest stages of potentially being able to design our babies.
The timing is fucking perfect because last week you all went onto the blog and read the Torres blog, which included when she did the episode Lineage, and she wanted to correct all the Klingon out of her baby.
Yeah, well, and obviously there's the whole Julian Bashir connection.
So we're still a ways off from actually being able to, like, designer our babies to this extent. Like, right now they think they can maybe futz with some stuff, possibly. But the one thing we are potentially looking at is your insurance company could probably get your DNA.
That's true.
And again, like, thank God for HIPAA at the moment, but, you know, like, you know...
Well, here's some advice, kids. Don't send a genetic sample of yourself to some internet company.
Too late.
To find out what percentage of whatever you are.
I'm a Pekingese.
It's a bad idea.
So many people already have.
Yeah, but it's been helping them solve a lot of cold cases.
Not worth it.
Well,
take all the cold
you.
cases to prevent future Hitler.
Oh, well.
Yeah. Well, especially it's like, I don't know, the fact that it's like a faceless internet company as well is just like,
It's not just a faceless internet company. It is basically controlled by the Mormon Church.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Even better.
Yeah.
Which one? Ancestry?
It's either... I think it's 23. One of them is like basically owned and lock, stock, and barrel by the Mormons, though.
Huh.
I mean, they are famously very interested in genealogy.
Yeah.
It's actually there's a Mormon genealogy site that helped me figure out where my British great and third great grandfather came from.
Was it Britain?
It was Britain. Yes.
Oh my God! Who'd have thought those
It's the middle of
Mormons?
fucking
They
nowhere,
sure
Britain.
know their shit.
Mystery solved.
Good job, guys. But yeah, it was really weird when I realized that I was looking at like this. It's a free genealogy site, like free records and whatnot. So because I'm cheap, but then I saw that it was Mormons. I'm like, that's fucking weird. But I'm still taking these records.
Yeah, hey,
Good story, Liz.
do the work.
Yeah.
Why are they so interested in genealogy, though?
Somebody tried to explain this to me once, and I don't know if it's an accurate thing, so I don't want to repeat it with authority, but I'll repeat it with a caveat of this could be total bullshit, but it has something to do with baptizing the dead.
Excuse me?
Oh.
That is a thing that in the past certain sects have done.
Why are we baptizing the dead?
They
Is
like
it
to
only in the
posthumously make people
past?
Mormons.
Because so there's this concept, I guess. And again, caveat, don't I'm speaking out of my ass here based on what other people have told me, but
what else
my understanding is that in the Mormon Church, if you are aware of like Mormonism and like whatever, and you choose to reject it, then you are damned. Like you can't go to heaven.
Oh, wow.
So, but here's the out. If you don't know about it, if you are ignorant of it, like that can't be held. Like God's not going to hold that against you because, like, how could you know, right? So it's basically they go to like people that have died to their graves and it's like, okay, we're going to baptize this dead person, and that will get them into, then they'll get the choice in the afterlife. That'll get them, they're in purgatory or wherever they are now. They're going to go up. God's gonna be like, hey, some nice Mormon baptized you, and you can come in, but now you got to choose. You either accept, the Mormon way, or you're gonna send you back to hell.
I mean, that doesn't sound like too much of a stretch, because I mean that's still the belief of many mainline Christian sects, even that like, if you don't accept Jesus, I think honestly they're not even as nice as the Mormons. There's like, if you don't accept Jesus, even if you don't know about him,
you don't get the choice. Yeah, so
you're going to hell.
It's a charity. Like they're like, oh, we're gonna baptize the dead to give them the opportunity to get into heaven. Now, where that ties in with genealogy, I'm not entirely sure.
I mean, again, there is this.
Maybe it's to like find your people and.
Humans in general do have a slight obsession, but. Just speaking again as someone who grew up in the United States and was raised Catholic, like there is this also just weird Christian obsession with like this one begat that one, we can trace our line back to Adam bullshit. So what I'm saying is religion is dumb.
Have you ever read?
Can't everyone?
Yeah, I was gonna say, have you ever read the Iliad? Because there's like a whole book in the Iliad about this motherfucker begat this motherfucker.
That's right. It's not.
It's like chapter 15
it's
or
not
some
really
shit.
unique to any particular faith, but
Well, I'm just saying, like.
Clearly, you haven't been paying attention to Game of Thrones.
No, I've not.
That is entirely
so much lineage.
Who begot what
with their own sister
And a dragon. Speaking of the Bible, I have a note.
Yes.
The working title of this movie was The Eighth Day, which is a reference to like the 7 days of creation. And then there's an eighth day, which is what humans do. But a Belgian film of that title in American markets, it was something in Belgian, obviously, in the original film, came out with that title, so they didn't go with that title. They ended up just throwing some A's and C's and G's at a wall until they came up with a word.
And something that seems
and I like
to be
Gattaca. It's a good word.
Yeah.
something that it still seems to have survived within the movie somewhere. Like it's the genetic center where Vincent's parents go is called the Eighth Day Center. Apparently.
Oh,
that's a good touch.
I missed that.
Neat.
Good catch.
Does anybody remember that not very good Arnold Schwarzenegger?
Yes, I was just thinking of that.
The Sixth Day.
No,
I
was trying to
never
remember what
saw
day
it,
it
but I
was.
remember the
It was
ads
the
back in the
Sixth
day.
and it was a cloning movie where I remember enjoying it when it came out when I was about 11 or 12 or so. I don't know when it came out, but I remember enjoying it. But I'm sure it was terrible.
I feel like it was a movie that was really leaning heavily on CG back in the day when, as we said in our Independence Day episode, people knew the CG wasn't good. So,
how many
that's
models
this.
of the White House, Jake?
All the models of the White House.
So here's the thing to me that's really interesting about this film.
Mm.
It opens with that whole, like, almost Dickensian narration, like, here's my whole life up to this point. And it is occasionally a little unsubtle. But then the film itself contains so much intense subtlety, too. Like, and I love that it doesn't give you these answers. It only gives you the questions. But the impression I was under was that, like, Vincent's generation and younger were probably among the, like, first perfected, fully, like, yeah, it's just a given that everybody's modified pretty much. And the older guys are either from the era where the modification was lesser or not really as big a thing yet. And I feel like that you could really see that with the relationship between Alan Arkin and the brother. Because, like, he's the older cop, but he's clearly subservient to this fucking rat-faced shit. And there's something almost mocking in every time he, like, addresses him as sir and this and that. It's like, this is a guy who was supposed to be further along at this point, but at some point society got flipped around, and, like, he's not an invalid because he predates these ideas, but they still don't really want to give him a position of power because he's probably more normal. So, like, there's this whole thing with the older generations and not really, they're in a weird limbo, I think, implicitly. And again, I appreciate that it's left kind of vague. Like, this movie would have been terrible if it answered all the questions I have.
Yeah, I always read that Alan Arkin's character,
Alan Alda.
Alda's character.
No, it's Arkin.
No, it's Arkin.
No, it is Arkin.
Oh, I thought it was that. Oh no, Alan Alda was MASH.
No, Alan
Okay.
Alda is MASH.
Alan Alda's MASH.
I apologize.
Alan Arkin was the cop.
Confidently incorrect, Liz.
But I always interpreted that as he probably wasn't engineered, that he was.
Yeah,
and you might be right that he's like before that was as commonplace, so that's how he has like a good job. But
yeah, I imagine like the older folks, including, Ethan Hawke's boss, like either they're not engineered at all, or again, they're at least from an era where the engineering was way more primitive and there was only so much they could do.
I'm inclined to believe the latter, just because Alan Arkin, he's the one who's leaning so hard into the prejudice of, we found evidence of an invalid, it must be him. It's like, let's go bring this guy in. He's our man. And definitely doesn't show any skepticism toward the social stratification, like the class system, and happily participate, leads the way of haranguing all the invalids in that one district.
Well, though, do keep in mind, if you're someone who gets a pass for whatever reason, you will happily stomp on your fellows.
You'll sell everybody out, absolutely.
Well, and also, but I think he's a better investigator, because he, where, Anton keeps trying to almost throw him off the scent, get like deter him from seeking out Vincent. Yeah, he's just kind of doggedly pursuing it.
I don't know if that makes him better.
Well, it makes him.
They are barking up the wrong tree. Like, it's not Vincent at the end.
Except he eventually goes back and re-looks at the evidence and finds the evidence that it wasn't the invalid, and that's how he solves the crime.
Well, what's interesting is like, what is he goes to Anton and is like, you know what? I took your advice. I went back to Gattaca, and it was basically what it came down to was like both their methods to an extent. It's like, I think he was really harping on going outside because like this snot-nosed fuck was so obsessed with this idea without any real proof for it. And once his own sort of theory didn't pan out, he's like, all right, let's give the idiot kid a chance.
Well, he goes and he looks, he doesn't find it back at Gattaca, he finds it on the corpse.
Yeah, who doesn't check an eye for spit? That's exactly where someone would spit.
And I think that's exactly the problem with the society is that because there was an invalid's DNA found near the scene of the crime, like that's immediately the only person that's been
right. Exactly.
Like, all other leads are. It's like, oh, we don't even need to do a very thorough autopsy because obviously he got beat to death with a keyboard by this invalid.
It's a weird, it's one of these weird science fiction things, like a world where cops just get really hung up on prejudice and stuff. Like, oof, what a dark future we might be looking at.
Thank God we don't live in that world, huh?
But I mean, we also see like how even their hiring practices. The interview process was a urine test.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What about the interview? That was it. Oh my. It. Oh dear.
So, nice what does that say about the workforce in general? About qualifying? Like, I mean, presumably a resume was submitted. Some qualifications were provided, but bring them in. All right, your genes are good. That's all we need. You're going to be fine.
Well, even at that, like resume. So Eugene was a swimmer, right? Like he wasn't a astronaut or like he had no prior qualifications for this job other than the fact that he was. Well, I mean,
we don't know his
education.
A
swimmer.
We know he's brilliant, and that's all we need to know. We know that he's the best, and has been told his whole life he's the best.
I do imagine too that Tony Shalhoub probably knows how to fake some records too.
That's true. I mean, there's the other thing that I notice is how happy Eugene seemed to be working in the lab. Like, he didn't seem bored at any point. I feel like he probably just spent a year being a depressed recluse, and this was like the first intellectual stimulation he had. Yeah,
he's just so happy to have something to do, I think, finally.
But he definitely seems to have an aptitude, like, and at least an interest. So it's possible, like, we don't know what the college system is like, if that's even much of anything, if they're just like, well, you clearly have the high IQ genes.
We know it is not wheelchair accessible.
No.
Yeah, that's true. The thing, though, is like if he had an interest in whatever, right? Whatever job that he could do, I just don't think he could be an athlete, or at least not an athlete doing the stuff that he wanted to do at the level he was doing it at.
What?
It wasn't like he's paralyzed and, incapable now. He probably can't be a swimmer like he was before, at least not at the level he was at.
Well, it seems to me...
Okay. Good.
I was just going to make a joke. I was going to say, it seems to me that if the 100-meter pull yourself up the stairs with just your arms was an event, he would be an athlete again.
Damn it.
Well, as I say, I mean, like,
that scene was so fucking painful, guys.
I'm going to guess that there's no Paralympic Games in this world, so there probably isn't a lot of market for disabled athletes.
Well, that you're getting to something I was thinking is like he's genetically engineered. We know that much. That's the one thing is like we know this genetic engineering seems to be a global phenomena, or at least is it big in the United States and Britain. I feel like in this world, even though his paralysis is the result of a car accident and not quote unquote bad genes, people are just going to look at him and assume, Well,
like that cop. And they did. It happened.
Yeah, that's what, and I got to give him credit for his lie, which was so good. It's like, I injured myself training, you fucking idiot.
Yeah.
But like...
Well, that's the thing, though. I could see him, if he had wanted to, working in a laboratory or...
But he doesn't want to.
Behind a desk, but he doesn't want to.
Yeah,
but also, I do wonder, though, how, like, even with the right genes, I kind of wonder if he'd have trouble getting a job in this world as someone in a wheelchair. You know, like, it's not...
Not with his qualifications, though? I don't
But
know.
the thing is, it's a superficial world.
Incredibly, like, appearance
It's incredibly
matters.
ableist.
And again, like, because again, you're like, yeah, sure, your employer can give you the piss test. You're like, yeah, no, he's fine. It really was just an accident. But, you know, you're some big lab company and your, you know, clients are walking through and they see a man in a wheelchair. They're like, what the fuck is this? Like, no, we promise. We promise. And it's like, so I could totally see, like, he just can't really do anything because he might as well have the bad genes at this point. I mean, I don't think it's a coincidence that Invalid also could be invalid.
I was thinking that too, but I didn't have any like coherent points to make, so I didn't want to just like drop it in, you know?
Which I believe is now an
That's a
outdated
coherent
term, but...
It's absolutely an outdated term, but like that's the thing. This is, even logically speaking, even if they knew, even if you're sitting there looking at his DNA test and you know that this was, you know, an accident in adulthood that has disabled him, he's still no longer the perfect specimen of a Superman. Like, he's not the Ubermensch. He's not this idea of human perfection. So he's going to be stigmatized no matter what.
Yeah, and I think the most interesting thing about his character is how he clearly hates himself for it.
Oh, yeah.
So much.
Like, he came in second in a swim meet with probably other genetically modified superhumans. And he came in
Someone's
second.
probably got
and
web feet in that race.
And he tried to kill himself for it.
Yep.
Like, that is how fucked up this world is, that they push perfection on this man until not being 100% perfect breaks him utterly. And it's...
Well, I mean...
He's such an interesting character in that way.
Yeah.
And again, it's not an unrealistic concept either, because you look at even the real world, and when people are outstanding, you know, say where they come from, and they are head and shoulders above all their peers, they inevitably potentially work their way towards, you know, either an elite university or an elite athletics field or
where
something
you might be
like
a smaller fish.
MIT or Harvard,
Yes.
where everyone is a fucking genius.
Yeah, where
actually.
like maybe your whole life you've been like the best person in the room, but then you gather with all the other best people in the room.
Oh no,
and
my small pond has gotten bigger.
Right, someone is going to be first and someone is going to be last, and you're not going to focus on the fact that this is my new peer group and I'm still like a super person. Like, you're just going to see, oh God, and if you're not braced for that, that's going to fucking destroy your sense of self.
Yeah, especially when your whole life you're told, you're perfect, you're our golden boy, you're, you know, all of these things that we've made you to be. You can't be anything otherwise because, look, the gene test says so.
Yeah. And so just, I mean, Jesus Christ. I mean, who knows how shitty the bronze guy felt.
Yeah, there's that.
And, you know, it's sort of the actual version of that stupid fucking line that I hate when people trot it out. They're like, oh, if everyone's special, no one is. And it's like, okay, what that means is everyone brings a unique perspective to the table. But this is the actual literal version of that. It's like, when you have made everyone a superhuman, what happens? Like, again, not every race can end in a tie. Not everyone is going to get the same score every time. Like, people have to be let to understand that you can still bring something unique to the table, even if you're not fulfilling this very specific thing that everyone is told is the ideal.
You know, as a gifted youth who is living a thoroughly mediocre life, thank you for that, because I think a lot of us were made promises that the world has not quite kept up, you know?
Oh, yeah.
So for anybody else, for any other elder millennials who are wondering how the fuck we got here when we were so promising, maybe find some peace in that.
But yeah, his scene at the end, I was so bummed.
I love it. It's so beautiful.
They really tricked me into thinking that, like, maybe this experience had given him a shot in the arm to
go do something.
Like, I was sitting
the doctor
here
all over again, wasn't it? Vincent and the doctor all over again.
Kinda. And I'm sitting there, and I'm just watching. I'll watch this movie, and there's no one else in the room, and I realized when I go, no, to the air, because I was so sad.
So, I think I told Liz, or maybe I didn't tell Liz, but Chris definitely knows, and I wasn't going to trot this out, but now I will. I finished watching the movie, and as is my wont, I wasn't paying a ton of attention. So I'm on a line, and I bebopping along, and I say to Chris, I'm like, I don't get though, like, where's Jude Law going? And Chris is like, oh, you need to rewatch it. I'm like, no, he was somewhere. Wasn't he somewhere? He's like, no.
Oh, no.
And then I went and rewatched it, and I was like, what the fuck?
Like, yeah,
No.
this is why I didn't want to just tell you what happened. You have to see that.
Yeah, thanks a lot. I'm glad your bad day had to be my bad day.
So sad, because you really, like,
oh, it's such a bummer.
his arc is just... Because you feel like you see him getting better.
Yeah.
And he's not really. He's
It's
just...
very Voyager Course Oblivion, where it makes you so unhappy because it's like written so well and acted so well, but it's so fucking sad.
Yeah,
And I mean, it's not
awful.
even like a hard left turn or anything, because
No, that's the thing.
and I think this is probably going to merit it. Like, just started talking about this is going to merit a trigger warning.
Yes.
In the notes,
Of course,
but
yeah.
like he's someone who confessed to being suicidal.
Mhm.
The
Well,
night
he
of his
very
accident,
candidly
David's
said
accident.
he was going to try
And-
again, too. Super
right,
candidly,
and like other behaviors, even just setting up all of the genetic material, like
Which
quote-unquote,
really should have been a
lifetime.
clue.
Yeah, you're gonna
That
need
was
this
the clue.
for when you come
Like,
back, because I'm not here, because I'm not gonna be here.
I'm giving you everything. I'm just gonna give everything away.
'Cause Ethan Hawke was supposed to come back, and they were going to be best friends forever.
I wanted them
It's
to,
gonna be
like,
adorable.
kiss so
Oh, yeah.
badly. I wanted them to be
Very
just
pretty boys.
in it.
That's the thing, is like, that's really where all the sexual tension was.
Yeah, really, I didn't even know we were supposed to like Uma Thurman until we were on top of her, and then I was like, oh,
Like,
I know,
this whole
she's-
time.
And this
This
is where
whole
she
time
and
she
Ethan
seemed
Hawke
like
got
a
together.
an antagonist. Wait, they were together in real life?
Yeah, they spit out some
Yeah.
kids. The girl
We
from
got together after this.
Stranger Things.
Maya
Robin.
Maya Hawke.
Oh, 11? Or whatever?
no,
No, no, no.
the other ones.
What girl?
The
The-
girl
the
who
one
works
who-
at the movie or the
At the ice cream
stand?
place with the sailor
Yeah.
uniform.
Yeah.
Oh, I haven't seen that far along,
Oh, okay.
so I don't know who that is.
She's
But
excellent.
You'll notice her because she looks a shitload like her mother.
no.
She looks
She
like
really
both
does.
of them.
She does,
Yeah,
but
she's-
at least in the one photo I saw, she especially looked like Uma.
Are they not still married?
No.
They are
No.
not.
Oh, it's a shame. The
Here's the
power
thing,
of Gattaca couldn't keep them together.
like, they don't get me wrong. I
With those
thought those.
jeans.
I did think they worked off of each other very well as well, but
They had an
like-
upside down sex scene that was weird.
that one shot, I was like, I don't know why we're doing this, but I
I'm
don't like
dizzy.
I thought my
Yeah.
phone was fucked up. I thought that I had like accidentally flipped my phone. I was like, "What is
Nope.
this?
Nope.
What is happening?"
I will say, I did not realize that blowing smoke into a glass of wine was one of the most erotic things in the world.
That was nice.
Like, again, I know I'm not fully straight, but holy shit, I am less fully straight than I thought. Like, what the fuck with that scene? I was like, okay, you and Jude Law are gonna fuck now, right? Because holy shit, how could he
Right
see
now.
that and not...
Are you guys gonna fuck and can we watch, please?
Right in the middle of the
Please.
12-fingered pianist concert,
Oh goodness.
which is wild.
Yeah, that when I was a kid, I was like, oh, the pianist is invalid too, because he's got
A freakish
Mhm.
deformity.
he's got a freakishly deformed hands, and then like
Oh, that's not
watching
nice,
it
though,
back
sorry.
again, now I'm like, oh,
Little
I'm an
Jake.
idiot.
No, his
I mean,
parents
that was a
decided his fate
dum-dum.
for him. I mean,
I was gonna
really,
say,
it is, but
imagine-
it's a genetic, it's a quote unquote genetic flaw or defect that just got played off into a positive light.
Yeah, and it like I guess his parents really wanted him to be a pianist, and
From the
no choice.
from the get-go, from
They probably
conception.
sprung for that
they,
after $5,000.
they went to the doctor like, okay, hear me out, doc.
Can he also
Before
have
you
a
say
tail?
no.
Prehensile tail.
Oh.
So, another thing I find really interesting that they don't get into, which again, I'm glad they didn't. I should really emphasize that basically every time I have said they don't get into something, I'm actually super grateful, because I hate when a piece of work over-explains itself.
Oh yeah.
Mm.
Like, I almost feel like the fact that...
I'm a piece of work that over-explains myself all the time.
Same.
Like, I almost feel like now, as I watched it, like, it felt like the almost too much information at the beginning was almost so that you'd be caught off guard by the fact that the rest of the film is actually a lot of vagary, subtlety, and make up your own mind, kid, with a shrug. Because then, I think, like we said, you end up then having to reanalyze the entire opening. Like, yeah, we're taking this as gospel, but we're getting it from a guy who we realize is maybe not the most... He's not an unreliable narrator, but even he isn't fully self-aware, you know?
Mm.
And so, like, Ernest Borgnine who apparently, according to the credits, is named Caesar, which I don't think they ever say in the film.
Oh, right, because he was the other janitor, right?
The head janitor.
Yeah.
Head janitor.
He's got a few deleted scenes too.
There is a scene where, like, he takes a cup from Vincent. Like, oh, I'll get that, Mr. whatever his name was. And I was like, I wonder if you recognize him.
Oh.
Do you know who that is? Do you realize that's your old assistant or not? And, like, again, and, you know, they happen, you know, that's one of the things is that cup that he was trying to throw away. You know, the cup's like, what are you doing here in
Has
this
his
crime
saliva
scene?
on it.
Yeah, and it's like, was he trying to help cover up? As we later find out, the doctor was helping cover up the whole time. So was Ernest Borgnine in on it without telling Vincent as well?
Wow. I didn't even think of that.
So in a couple of deleted scenes, like there's a deleted scene just before the launch in the locker room where it pretty much becomes clear that he did know.
Ooh. I gotta find these deleted
Borgnine?
scenes.
I like, that Ernest Borgnine, that Caesar knows. It's Farewell to Caesar, I think, or Farewell Caesar, something like that is the name of the scene. But I like that they took out that scene and left it ambiguous.
Yeah, I like not knowing. I will say, like, as far as the twists in the film go, the brother, I should have seen coming and didn't because I wasn't thinking. And in a way, feels a little like, okay, this is kind of classic, whatever, fine. Jude Law killing himself, again, should have seen it coming, but it still was a punch in the fucking gut. The doctor being in on it genuinely caught me off guard. I was like, what? Creepy doctor's actually a hero?
They dropped subtler hints with him at the beginning.
Yeah, I really have to go back and rewatch now.
Because, like,
really?
in the first scene, that first scene with him, he actually does say, by the way, did I ever tell you about my son?
Yeah, he mentions the son.
Yeah.
I'll have to sometime.
Yeah, but I just thought, I was like, yeah, whatever,
Also,
fine.
I saw, somewhere I saw someone suggest, and I think they're onto something, that, like, he's looking right at Vincent's dick as he's being, and Vincent isn't actually peeing out of his urethra, right?
I was thinking that.
Unless it was a prosthetic apparatus.
That's what I was wondering. Or like I wonder if it would be fucking horrible, but like, could you have like a tube?
I don't like where this is
going into your urethra,
like
through your scrotum.
I hate all of this.
And like, where you could squirt piss out of your own dick using like a syringe or something. I'm just hypothesizing here.
They have black and white
Jake
screens in this world and can't even get records of injuries from overseas. I doubt that they're gonna
That's true. Yeah, this would be a horrible. That'd be a horrible thing.
I'm gonna go with fake
prosthetic.
Marky Mark penis.
Yeah,
because that
Mark penis
really does
makes
help
sense.
make a lot more sense and all that.
Could you? I don't know. I'm not a doctor. Could you inject somebody else's urine into your own bladder?
I can't imagine.
Can you?
That sounds like a great way to an infection.
You'll find that the balls are where the pee is stored.
That's a good point. I forgot that.
Yay!
Okay, less gross.
Still gross.
Low bar.
Yeah. Is there actual DNA in pee? Like,
so
I was wondering.
That's a great question.
It's so
idea.
from what I'm seeing from nerds debating on the internet, yes and no. Mostly no. But like there are stray cells that can get in there.
But it wouldn't be your first choice for like identifying somebody.
It would not. It's probably just a less invasive method.
Yeah.
Cotton swab in the mouth is fine. Come on.
Yeah, they already have the finger pricks. They get the finger pricks.
Yeah, they must have so much scar tissue on their fingertips. If they're doing that on a daily basis just to swipe into work and then go out to lunch, presumably.
Diabetics do it a lot too.
That's true. And they got to rotate.
Yeah.
Unless you got a pod in the arm.
Oh yeah. But yeah, badging in there's that's the thing. The practicality of this world, as cool as a lot of it is, badging into work by getting stabbed in the hand every day.
Yeah.
Yeah, really.
A cup in front of a man. Not sure I'm digging it.
Admittedly,
in a cup in front of a man who won't stop staring at your penis.
We also this is clearly sort of a more high security outfit being a space agency.
That's true. Yeah.
It could be that in more normal jobs you just do that shit once a year.
How do they do the pee thing with the women? Does the doctor have to
be in the room?
Get under there? What are they doing?
Maybe they get one of those things, the pee mate or whatever, that you gotta you slide that in and then you can pee standing up.
Is that how you pee in the woods?
If the whole point is the doctor needs to watch, like needs to see it emerge.
Just needs to watch it emerge from the shiwi.
Just like pulling back your flaps, like, here you go.
Wow, bringing class.
Listen, this is what's happened. It's not my fault. I didn't fucking ask. What does a doctor have
That's
to watch
true.
the urine
Jake's
come out of the girl's urethra for Christ's
All of
sake?
this is Jake.
I'm just practical questions about this world that have not been answered. Okay, other thing.
They're getting DNA from the pee, but could they not have gotten it from poop? Inquiring minds want to know.
To the pee question, though, I think it comes down to this was 1996 or 7 or something, and the general public still didn't know a lot about DNA. Like,
That's true.
Or
OJ had just happened.
Just discovered pee recently.
So, like, but you could probably say to people back then, oh yeah, they do a piss test for DNA, and people are going, sure, why not?
What is DNA again?
Magic.
It's in everything, right? So I
Wait,
guess.
is that the same pee that Kevin Costner was drinking in Waterworld?
Oh, Chris and
God.
Caitlin froze.
But
It's going to end up on the recording anyway. There we go.
They're fine.
They're back.
There they are.
They're back.
Oh yeah, you guys have frozen a couple times also.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
you're fine.
But I guess it's just us.
But
Yeah.
speaking of lady peeing, Irene,
Oh!
yes,
She also pees like a
She
like a
also
human
pees.
person.
like a champ.
Like a champ.
I
She's kind of a non-presence for me for so much of it.
Well, because she's so, and that's another thing of the, you know, how much of it is internal to the story and how much of it is just Hollywood bullshit in terms of the misogyny and
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
the
I love
downplayed
when
role.
she has work to do, and then one of the bosses like says, "Hey, you handle whatever's going on with this investigation, like with like help the detectives for
Go
today."
Caitlin was saying the same thing.
Coffee or something.
And she's like, "But
Yeah.
I have my own work," and they're like, "Oh, okay, I guess I'll help."
Okay, honey, go get to it. Yeah, that's what I said that to Liz, and I said it to Chris. I think to both of you.
Yeah, I
like
think,
it's like she's a fucking superhuman, but she's still just a little woman.
and I think because they do
you.
have that scene, I think it is very much like on purpose.
I would fucking hope so. But isn't she also one of like 2 women we ever see? Like I don't feel like because
there
we were
is
talking
at least
about
one woman on the on the rocket ship.
There's
I
there's-
don't- right the Asian
There were two.
lady.
There were two.
there's a trainer. There's the mother,
Right.
obviously.
Right. Well, yeah, I'm not
Um,
counting the mother. She's
Oh,
not
yeah, Admiral
genetically
Cornwall.
enhanced. But
What?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Fuck that! Goddamn!
Oh,
Yeah, well,
Also-
Lord.
Dad was
yep.
Casey Jones.
I was wondering if you'd caught it.
Of course I caught it. Because Chris was like, oh, there's a cameo or like
There's some
your role.
casting.
You're like, there's some casting you're going to love. And then he popped up and I was like, oh my God, was it Casey Jones? And he was like, what? No, not that, but good catch. And I was like, oh. And then Alan Arkin showed up and I was like, Alan Arkin!
Who's Casey Jones?
From
Casey
the
Jones
Ninja
is
Turtles.
he's
Oh,
from the Ninja
sure.
Turtles.
He was the guy with the hockey
The
mask.
hockey
who beats
mask.
people up
Honey,
with hockey
I've never
sticks.
seen
Jeez.
this movie.
Dude,
No.
first of all, you need to see that fucking
But he's in the
movie.
comics too, okay?
I've never
It's
read
not-
the.
Yeah,
I've
but
never-
he's
I
not
have
played
no
by
TMNT
Elias,
knowledge.
whatever
Not
his
a great
name is.
movie. Not a
Fuck
great
you!
movie.
It is
How
the best
dare
movie.
you.
And Casey Jones is a fucking hot piece of ass.
But all you
Like-
need to know is he wears an old timey like '80s hockey mask and beats people up with hockey sticks. So
Okay.
I
Oh,
think
and,
that part
and a
can be
does,
cricket
done.
like-
bat. He has a cricket bat also.
Oh, okay.
That's right.
It's
For the
man, it's been so
off-season.
long since I've seen it, but doesn't he like crush Shredder in a trash compactor at the end?
Yes.
That sounds familiar, yes.
Whoops. He said.
Now I don't
while
have to
throwing
see
a
the
switch.
movie.
True.
No, you do.
So he
it's a
does
good movie.
murder a
Shit in
man
there.
literally by crushing him in a trash
Dude,
compactor, which is pretty
beating
badass.
masterful
He's
puppet work in
beating
that
the
movie.
beating the absolute shit out of naughty teenagers on the street. Casey Jones is not to be trifled with. He is a fucking madman.
Neat.
Um,
Speaking of
Well,
casting,
we were
I
talking
only,
about Irene.
I only have
Yeah,
one
Irene.
casting note.
Yes.
Before we move back to Irene, if necessary. The only acting or casting note that I found on the internet is that Johnny Depp turned down the role of Jerome Eugene Moreau.
Sorry,
I
you
saw that.
froze
Big
up
loss.
again. We missed the name.
Johnny Depp would have
thank
turned
God
down
that
the
didn't
role of
happen.
Eugene.
Thank
I don't know,
fucking
97
God.
Johnny Depp?
Yes,
I
but now I
also
couldn't watch the movie.
I'm
Ah.
trying to think of the,
Well,
I
I
saw
could,
three
but I would
names
feel
associated
gross.
with it. I saw Johnny Depp, I think Sean Penn,
Oh,
and
God.
no.
and then the third actor was someone who looks more like Ethan Hawke.
They really just wanted future wife beaters.
Was it Gary
Ooh,
Oldman?
Lowen
Because he
Burger.
was married
It
to
was
Uma
not.
Thurman for a minute, and he was an abusive alcoholic.
It was not. It was not.
It's too
It'll
bad.
come to me. But
Sean Penn would have been a fucking terrible choice. Sean Penn has the most punchable face in
he
the
would
world.
not have been. He would not have been nearly as likable or compelling as Jude Law plays Morrow.
No.
Yeah, well, there's. I mean, Yeah, no, I don't think Sean Penn plays likable because he's not likable.
He's not likable. No. Well, he's good in I Am Sam, you know?
Yeah,
in which he's not likable?
though.
He was all right in the parts of Milk that I saw.
Actually, he's supposed to be great in that, but
I was gonna say, but the problem is Sean Penn is so unlikable that I don't even want to hear the sad and heartening and sad and true story of this fucking gay icon because I don't want to watch Sean Penn.
Also, it's another thing. It's like maybe that role should have, gone to a gay guy.
No. I was telling Liz this before. The gays, women, trans people, all that shit, they didn't exist in the 90s. Nobody gives a fuck. It's fine. Don't worry about it.
They were
invented by Barack Obama.
In a lab.
But good news, he brought all this weird new shit in, but racism's over. So we can call it now. Don't worry about it.
Nice.
Neat. All right, we're getting back because I do have a note on Uma Thurman, our good friend Irene, and that's that she is taller than both Ethan Hawke and Jude Law, so they had to use filming techniques to make her look shorter than she is.
They had to.
They had to because of the eugenics of it all.
When they mentioned that he was not 6'2", I did look it up, and Ethan Hawke's 5'10", which I believe is also Jude Law's height. So,
well, that's why they added a couple inches in his legs.
Yeah.
Isn't there a story, like a recent story of a woman who added extra length to to both of her calves to make herself taller and is basically a freak now?
Well, yeah, you can definitely. I believe this is a thing that you can definitely do.
Yeah, I mean the procedure they had him doing is a real thing. Usually, it's the medicinal
but you probably
reasons.
cap out at a couple of inches and not more than that.
Yeah, and usually it's supposed to. I mean, I'm sure people have done it. What's the word? Cosmetically.
Oh,
stupidly.
But in theory, what you're supposed to do is if someone is born with very uneven legs, they can.
I see.
If it's uneven enough that it's causing larger issues in the hip and back, you can. But again, it's you basically you break your leg, sever it, put the little brace on. You have to wait for it to heal. You then have to re-break it if you want more. It's a long, awful, painful, terrible process that you've got to be really...
Plus, I can't imagine they would actually do it at the calves. You'd have to do it at the femur, wouldn't you? And the femur is a big son of a bitch.
Femur is dicey.
With a lot
femur
of...
would be dicey.
I just feel like it is a stronger support. I don't feel like you could fuck that much around with the tiny little leg bones at the bottom because they're two pieces that are not...
Yeah, I don't know. I am not looking this procedure.
You also have fewer vital arteries below the femur.
Yeah.
Femur is full of... That's where the blood comes from.
There's a lot of muscle and stuff.
A lot of good shit up there.
Oh, I know, but I'm just saying, so you're telling me that they do the fibia and the tibia or whatever instead?
I don't know how
bones make sense.
That's ridiculous.
At the very least, in the world of fiction, Tony Shalhoub can only do so much.
Yeah, as I say, the fact that Tony Shalhoub, the sketchy identity salesman is also the dentist and the surgeon.
I will say, if I existed in this world, I want his job. That seems like the
He makes
best
it look very
evil.
classy.
Oh my god, yeah. He's he's selling me a gun in John Wick while talking about it it's a bottle of wine.
I love there was a detail that was it'll be less obvious to give you contacts than to actually, use corrective eye surgery so that you have the vision acuity of Jerome. Is that true? Would there be so much scarring if you get corrective eye surgery?
Maybe in their future a parallel future tech, their
corrective
scanners are just that good.
Yeah, but on the other hand, not as much as there would be on your fucking legs.
Well, also, I don't know, maybe they wouldn't have hit, nowadays they have LASIK and things. I don't know if they would have...
If in this alternate present...
would have been that thing.
It was an early stage
new,
LASIK back then.
Well, but also, though, wouldn't you think that one of the things that they would get rid of would be needing glasses ever?
Well, yeah, that's why he had to fake
it. Well, that's why he needed the contacts.
Oh, okay, yeah, right.
It would have been a dead giveaway
point.
if he wore
glasses.
Right.
So it comes back to the question of how good is the medical technology to treat a corrective surgery
they wouldn't
like
even
this.
bother anymore. That's exactly.
Yeah,
and
why would they have a LASIK machine?
But also, what does Tony Shalhoub have access to?
Why wouldn't Vincent have had the surgery ever before in his life?
Couldn't afford it.
Yeah, I was gonna say they're gonna waste precious resources on that invalid.
He's only gonna live for 30 years. You don't need good eyes to be a janitor.
I just want to go back really quick to this limb lengthening thing because I couldn't not. So it does appear that it is in fact the calves, which you guys were right. But what they do is they break your leg,
Good.
and then they put a device in there, a brace that stretches you out so that new bone forms.
Yeah, that's
so it just keeps stretching, and apparently you can get up to 6 inches that way.
Woo! Okay, that's a lot.
6 inches in the calf.
You need very tall
that's
socks.
gonna be
You
very
would look like a freak
disproportionate.
if you did that, you know, to be fair. And also, like, here's the thing. If one leg is significantly longer than the other, if you make your calf longer, unless your other calf is longer, isn't this just going to make your knees at,
I was wondering
way
about that,
different
actually.
points?
Huh.
Like, you'd be fucking Ministry of the Silly Walks over here, you know?
Anyway, I don't want to talk about horrifying leg procedures anymore.
Let me tell you some more
Irene's
about
heart
it.
Back to
condition.
Uma Thurman, yeah.
She's so tall.
I mean, well, her heart condition, though, the one thought I had was like, how much does she really have a heart condition, or how much was it another percentage thing that she just sort of took for granted?
Or is she just a woman?
Like, or does she have anxiety and she's like, oh, that's my heart condition? No, you're just scared because you were running from a cop.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which is kind of what Ethan Hawke tries to tell her.
Hmm.
You know, it's like, I can't do this. Like, you just did.
Yeah. Also, I feel
Yeah.
like hair and makeup were just in love with her for the aesthetic, for like how she fits into the aesthetic. Because like when I say she looks like a Lempicka painting, hang on, I've got visuals. I'm gonna send you links.
That's a good idea for a podcast. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, you can include it in the
share
notes
with
or
our
some
friends.
shit. I don't know.
We will.
Maybe we'll remember to share
I'm just
something.
kidding. Of course we will.
And remember
How
to
dare
not
you.
include the stupid send message button that
Where
they
we
now
gonna
have
start?
as
Where we gonna
default,
start?
apparently.
Facebook.
I'm gonna start with
man.
this one.
Fucking hate Facebook.
I'm gonna start with this one. I'll send it to our little group chat.
Thank
There
you.
we go. Here's one. That would be, I think I just sent you auto portrait Tamara in a green Bugatti for people who want to look it up on their own without having to pull up the notes.
Ooh, it
Oh,
does
wow,
look like
yeah.
Uma.
Jesus.
Here comes Young Girl in Green, and then another one that just called The Young Girls, which
Oh, wow.
That's,
if you didn't know she was
Interesting.
bisexual, I feel like that I don't know, that portrait has the right feel. And then I had a comparison photo just to refresh your memory.
oh, wow. It's funny is in the third one, it's actually the brunette that looks more like her.
Right? But like if you look at even like the way they style her hair for the nightclub sequence, like those curls are right out of like this style, this era.
Yeah.
But like her eye, there was a shot I was trying to find where like she's looking down, you can see like her eyeshadow, and her eyeshadow is so like just this heavy metallic coat that looks just like something out of these paintings.
Yeah, it's
And
really
then I realized, I went back and looked at the poster. I'm like, God, they're all angular. Everybody here is angular. They just picked angular people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I have one more aesthetics note that I read that's kind of interesting, and that this film is noted for its use of color, because I guess the cinematographer like really went nuts with these like gold, green, and blue tones, and he also shot in. And Jake will tell me what this means because I don't fucking know. He shot the film in super 35mm format which enlarges the layer of grain to give it like a look that achieves something. But I don't understand these things. I just thought it was an interesting note.
Maybe
Jake, what
it
does this
gave it
mean?
An old-timey feel?
Yeah, more of a noir.
What?
Jake was looking at leg lengthening, wasn't he? God damn it, Jake. What does it mean if you were to shoot the film in super 35mm format?
It's just the shape of the film.
What
Just
does
the
it
shape.
do? What would it do? Why would it make this film look a particular way?
Yeah, what do?
With the extra grain.
I don't know.
Okay, all of this has been not interesting. Chris can cut it
Yeah,
off.
I'm sorry. I don't know enough about like film stock for cinema
Yeah.
to say.
I will say, actually, I did notice, especially like whenever they were outdoors, especially like there was this heavy kind of gold pall over everything.
Yeah.
And I found it interesting, and I kind of wonder if it was meant to suggest that also maybe the environment is somehow borked. Because like when you're outside, the light is wrong. Like it's yellow, but it's wrong.
It's
No, I wonder if
I
it's
feel like that was just like color grading that
genetically
they were choosing
modified.
to do.
I wonder if that's meant to just be a contrast to like the cold colored interiors.
It's possible, yeah.
Because
I mean,
it's so
stood out.
sterile inside.
Yeah. It stood out, and again, not in a negative way, but
No,
it
that's
did.
fair.
I remember noting that. It's like, wow, when they're outdoors, it's always very gold.
Oh,
Yeah.
but speaking of gold, not to bring up the sad part of the movie, but when Eugene sets himself up in the incinerator and sets it off, we get a close up of his silver medal that he's wearing, and it turns gold in the light.
Oh, wow.
My God.
I didn't think of that.
Also, the medal, the image on the medal is two figures swimming, which is just thematically tying back to like the brothers, but also could be a reference to their frienddip.
I was gonna say all movie long, like, wow, there's so much swimming metaphor, so much swimming, so many swimmers, like sperms.
Oh my God!
I never made that connection.
I made it. I found
I was thinking
it.
like, they often refer to like floating, like being in the womb. I did think of that.
Oh yeah, there's a good line. I wrote down this line: when you're weightless, like in
right.
space, it's the closest thing to being in the womb. And I'm like, wow, that just hits hard home, doesn't it?
I forgot that line was even in the movie somehow, but yes.
He's like, I've always been in the womb, bitch.
Yeah, that is interesting.
Yeah, like I feel like this movie should be bigger than it is, but
Yeah, it was
it's
such
also
a flop too. Like on a budget of purportedly 36 million, it made 12 and a half.
Yeah, it's rough.
That sucks.
Ouchies.
Do we know what it opened alongside?
I don't off the top of my head.
I also
Fair.
remember, I don't think this got a super like wide release, at least not initially, because I remember seeing it at the Kendall Square Theater.
Oh,
which
yeah.
at the time was
that's
like
a
where
little
all
guy.
like the kind of arty films were.
Yeah.
So I don't think this was like blockbuster, but yeah.
They may have had trouble getting a
That's
wide
also where I
release.
saw Austin Powers. So
It's so funny that
which
Austin
obviously
Powers
was
initially had, but not originally, right? Like
No, it's true.
originally
It
it
was
was
like- it was
super
kinda
teeny
like an arty
tiny,
thing.
and then
Oh,
which is
interesting.
fucking wild. Like when you think of it, Why
hmm.
haven't we had done Austin Powers yet?
Um,
Probably shouldn't do Austin Powers.
I'm down to
Let's see
all
how
my
it would be
little
relevant.
We should have
dread
done Austin
snouts.
Powers when we did Space Seed.
Okay. I've got the domestic box office for October 27th, 1997,
Oh shit!
which is the day Gattaca opened. Oh, yeah.
What?
Jurassic Park.
Oh, no, it wasn't even...
No.
So, October 97, number one film that weekend was The Devil's Advocate. That
Yeah.
Al Pacino?
Al Pacino
Keanu
film.
Reeves, Al Pacino.
The Peacemaker, which I've never heard of.
Oh, I remember that.
But even though...
Is that
Clooney, I
John
think.
Travolta? No.
Oh, I thought it was
don't know.
Clooney.
But here's
It
the
might
thing.
be Clooney. I don't
Even
remember.
though
No, that's not
this
right
was
either.
October, and these had both been summer releases, third and fourth place were still Men in Black and
Oh,
Air
yeah.
Force One.
That'll do it.
Wow.
Neither made much money on their daily. Yeah, they. Oh, sorry, that was their daily yield. So like that was their. I don't know how much they made that weekend specifically, but at that point they had made respectively $244 million, and this is in
Jesus.
'97 money, and
Men in Black?
$169 million.
Yeah, sounds
Oh my
right.
goodness.
So
Yeah.
it was still competing against the very long tails of two of the biggest action films of '97.
Yeah, and like I say, if it didn't
then
get
two
a
other
huge
action
wide
films.
release,
Yeah,
yeah.
Yeah, this is a very thinky movie.
yeah. But in a way, like I wish it had done better, but also we are being spared a terrible legacy sequel, which we almost assuredly would have been getting now.
I have a new note.
Oh no.
And
They
that's
just
that.
announced a legacy sequel.
Sadly, I'm almost interested because there was apparently a series in development at Showtime that would be one generation after the events of this film, but it's been canceled as of 2023. So it was a shot like in the pan of like, oh, we're going to do this thing. No, we're not going to do this thing.
Thanks, Obama.
mean-
That like
I mean,
not a
from
movie-
Showtime, I wouldn't mind.
Yeah, like a decently budgeted, well written like TV miniseries kind of thing. That's
Yeah.
with that premise too. Like it's not immediately thereafter. We're not going to drag back any of the original people we can get.
They're all dead.
So they can sit there and
I mean,
grump
this
around like
generation.
Harrison Ford. Like that maybe could work. 'Cause
I
was
mostly
thinking
just want to see more of the world. I think the world done today would be really beautiful.
it could be interesting. Again, it does though then risk the kind of the over explanation thing, and it would be such a tough balancing act.
Well, it depends on who does it. That would be
Yeah.
the thing.
Yeah.
Because there are ways
Like-
to do it really well.
There
it's
are.
like-
There are.
Showtime or AMC. Those are the two I'd trust to get it right. Oh, that's interesting.
Apple TV, they do really good sci-fi.
I still haven't gotten around to watching Foundation. I should do that.
Yeah, Foundation's pretty good. It's half good. There's a really good plot, and then there's a bunch of that's not great. But no, the thing to watch on Apple is For All Mankind.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's a Ronald D. Moore, which is stunning.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And
Okay,
and
him I trust too.
Severance, that's the other one. It's really good.
Oh, Severance is good. When is that coming back?
Soon, I hope.
Yeah, I'm glad I finally watched this. Again, I wish I'd done it sooner, but I'm glad I didn't do it when I was 17. Did anyone have final thoughts or notes or?
My final note, because I want to get this one in. Oh, we're still giving some love to Pluto. Don't eat Pluto!
Yeah,
Oh,
that
Pluto.
one thing that dated the film was like, oh, they know Pluto's important.
They know.
Other cameos, not even a cameo, really just, a bit part for an actor that wasn't big at the time was Dean Norris was the Flatfoot cop.
That's right.
Who
I know the name, but
he plays the cop in Breaking Bad.
oh, okay.
Right.
We also saw him in Total Recall.
Oh yeah, he was in Total Recall as one of
Who was he?
as one of the Martians.
No kidding.
Oh
But
shit.
aside from that, he usually plays cops.
Sure.
He gives off big cop vibes.
Yeah.
And Maya Rudolph was a nurse with one line in the opening sequence.
Yeah, I think this was her first role.
Oh wow.
Ever, I think.
Yeah, I didn't notice her, but I saw her when I looked up the cast. I was like, I completely missed that.
Yeah. No, I did not catch that one either.
She is amazing in Big Mouth and Human Resources. Fucking hilarious.
She's delightful. Also, have we addressed that Gore Vidal is playing the director?
Oh yeah, we
never discussed.
We forgot to mention that.
Because what the fuck? What's he doing there?
Well,
killing
he's an
people.
actor.
I was saying he has a genetic profile that says there isn't a violent bone in his body, but he beat a man to death with a keyboard.
But he didn't use his bones.
True.
And then he spit in his eye.
But that is and I mean the tagline for the movie is there's no what's it for the human spirit.
There's no spit in your eye. What?
But it's just another thing that proves that these profiles really are not gospel. They're just guidelines.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, I do think there is that sort of like, what the fuck? Why is Gore Vidal here? He does pretty well. He's
Yeah.
You don't think of him as an actor, but I thought he did a good job.
Well, that's it. I went into it reading that he was in it somewhere, but I actually don't know before now off the top of my head what Gore Vidal looks like, especially as an old man. So only later, it's like, oh, right, that was Gore Vidal. Okay, yeah, sure.
Was the actor that played Anton anybody of note?
I looked him up. He's done some stuff. It seems like he does a lot of theater, but will just pop up in random shit as time goes on. He has the sort of face where I'm surprised he is not more frequently cast as, like, to be honest, Nazis. I feel like,
oh no,
like poor J. Paul Damer. You just
eyes.
put him in an SS uniform and be like, yeah, no, that, yep.
You
got mean eyes.
got Nazi face.
But if you put a Vulcan wig on him, he looks fucking hot.
Oh, I found a random piece of trivia. Apparently, so when they're doing the public announcements, they're given in 2 languages.
Really?
Because at one point they switch, and I remember, like, I was trying to pick up. I'm like, that sounds kind of, is that Spanish? But I'm not quite making it out. It was apparently Esperanto.
Oh,
For whatever reason, like,
It's the language of the future.
like they got translation assistance
Didn't,
for
like,
it.
Bill Shatner famously speak?
Wesley Crusher. Can't think of his real name. Will Wheaton.
Will Wheaton.
Will Wheaton speaks Esperanto? I know
Allegedly.
there was some Star Trek connection with Esperanto, and I couldn't remember what it was.
Yeah, I think supposedly Will Wheaton speaks it. I don't know if that was a joke, though, for, like, an appearance on a TV show or if it's real.
Well, very funny, Will.
But yes, that definitely dates this a bit, because I feel like the 90s was the Esperanto flash in the pan.
I did not. I missed that one.
Yeah.
Go figure.
Speaking of Esperanto? Speaking of Star Trek?
There you go. Speaking of tying it back to Star Trek, painstakingly.
We're unfortunately returning to Enterprise.
Oh no.
We continue trudging along through our final season of Enterprise, kids. We're almost free. Is this another 3-parter? I can't remember, Ames.
It's a 3-parter, but we're not going to do all 3 because the whole rest of the season is 3-parters, and that's too many to watch at once.
So
That's
it's the
too many
first 2
parters.
parts of our next 3-parter. The Forge, somehow I don't think it's Geordie Law,
Damn.
and Awakening. And we'll be taking a look at Tommy Paris.
Tommy P. Okay, here it is,
Turkey
guys.
platter.
So William Shatner starred in the 1966 American horror film Incubus, filmed entirely in Esperanto.
Wow.
That's
It was released shortly before he was on Star
All
Trek.
right. So if we get more sick of watching Enterprise, we'll cover that.
You know,
We'll
I don't
watch
think
Incubus.
I do not think I will ever be that sick of Enterprise.
you know what I
That
think-
sounds like an ordeal.
What's crazy about that is, like, you know, Shatner. I was speaking to my wife the other day, and she said you weren't a very good actor. Now,
Every time it's delightful.
but here's the thing: like, the good news is even if he's speaking a language he doesn't know, it probably sounds about the same as him speaking English.
I
You
wonder if
know?
the weird pauses are still there.
Oh yeah.
Ooh.
So yeah, Enterprise, Tommy P. Join us. Follow us on SoundCloud and Facebook because we're too old to know any better social media platform.
No, we
Are
know
there
them. We're just
any?
scared of
They
them.
all suck.
That's true.
No, they do all suck. That is for sure.
Except Tumblr because we have blog
Actually, the
posts
Tumblr's
there.
probably the best one.
Not this week because we don't have one to go with it. But
Well, Tumblr did suck for a minute, but then they put the porn back.
yeah,
you know?
yeah.
So
And we
Thank
wrote
you,
some of it.
Tumblr.
that's true.
And yeah, so that's us again. As always, join us next week. This has been Chris.
This has been Ames.
This has been Caitlin.
This is always Jake.
And John Cusack. That was the last actor I was trying to think of.
Ah, you found it!
Ah.
Yep.
Yay!
Thank
Thank
you,
you, Liz.
John. Tell
Thanks for
Joan
coming,
hello.
Liz.